Anastasius dude and whatnot. And, and so then Dante asks like why are those people down there? There's like why what about the people up there? And then he quotes that Aristotle book and divides it into the levels of incontinence, malice, and bestiality, which is like sins against people and whatnot. And that's kind of how hell is divided as well.
What is incontinence?
Incontinence sins, lust.
Oh, okay, right. So,
Question, what is bestiality?
It's not that kind of bestiality.
oh.
Well, that's an interesting question because I think that, no, I mean, it seems like hell only, you guys haven't read the rest of the book, but it seems like hell only divides into incontinence and malice. It seems like he didn't do anything with the bestiality part, which is good. Because I'm worried that it does mean bestiality. So, but anyways, continue. It's like, and I have had a student be like, what's bestiality? I'm like, and then she pulled out her computer and did ready to Google it. I'm like, stop!
No.
Bad, yeah. So, bad thing to Google. Continue.
And then
Anyways.
he talks about the usurers who are like really bad people and how they violate nature because like it's good for men to work and earn money. But those people do it by like cheating.
What's usury?
They said it was charging people too much for money, not like too much interest.
It's interest. Did you guys know that charging interest was illegal in the Middle Ages? So if you loaned somebody money, supposedly you were supposed to be okay with them paying you back exactly what it is. So for the longest time, that was illegal to do any kind of loaning at interest. So do you guys know enough about the banking system for why the interest economy works? Do you guys understand how that works? So you go, right, and you go to, Sarah goes to TD Bank. No, don't go to TD Bank. TD Bank, I hate them. Go to like People's Bank, and she has like $1,000. She puts it in TD Bank, she opens an account. And right now she's getting paid like 0.8% interest because the interest rates are crazy low because the economy's so bad. So Sarah, whose money is sitting at the bank, is leaving her money there. And what is the bank doing with Sarah's $1,000? Is it like stacking it up in a little hole back in the back of the vault and like dusting it every day? Well, no. Riley goes, hey, I'm going to open a small business where I sell squirrels and hats. And so she needs $5,000 in seed money to get her business going. So she goes to the People's Bank and says, I need to borrow $5,000. Where do you think People's Bank gets its $5,000 from? Well, Sarah and everybody else has put their money there. So, when Riley goes to get a business loan, they charge her, say, 6% interest on the money. And what does the bank do with that interest? Well, they pay the employees. They pay the fact that if Riley's squirrel business doesn't work out and she goes bankrupt and like loses all her money, then the bank has to still make sure they can pay Sarah her money if she wants to pull it out. So basically, your money's kind of floating around in the ether out there being used by other people. In the interest economy, you get paid a little bit of interest for investing or having a savings account, but you have to pay interest whenever you borrow money. In the Middle Ages, interest was illegal for a Christian, because there is a reference in the Gospels to not charging a brother interest. So, what people group developed as the banking economy of the late Middle Ages by Dante's time? Have you seen Merchant of Venice? The church was okay, kind of, with people using Jewish money at interest because Jews weren't Christian and they kind of didn't like them anyway. So they allowed them to sort of start and run the banking economy because they weren't Christian. So the church kind of felt like, well, they aren't breaking, they're Christians, what do we care if they break their law? And so usury is condemned here as a circle of hell, even though it is kind of the foundation of a modern economy, which I thought was pretty interesting. All right, guys, keep going. Tell us more stuff.
They're just kind of like, oh, it's getting late, and they're moving on.
All right, guys, do you understand this canto? What's going on? What questions do you have? What did you notice as they flew through? You're like, wow, that's kind of interesting. Or I don't know. Or Mrs. Mary's going to make me read this, and I'm going to be scared. What do you want to know?
I don't really understand. Sorry. So basically they just were in that place place with the tombs for the heretics, and they saw a pope, and then they didn't. Did they talk to him, or did they just walk past it? And then Virgil told them about stuff. Is that right?
No, I'm pretty sure they just moved on.
Okay.
So what's the point of this canto then? What's it doing? Why is it here? What's its value?
It kind of tells you more about what hell is. Like, it actually kind of explains the forms in which you're punished for. So I guess it kind of helps you understand better what you're looking at.
Why does God hate fraud so much?
Fraud.
Yeah, and according to this. What do you guys think? What's the fraud section? Yeah, you know, as I think you may have read it.
Against nature.
Yeah. Could you guys find those lines? And y'all may want to look at this. This is an expositional canto. It has a lot of explaining to do. So understanding what's going on through here is really important.
Bless you.
Fraud that gnaws the conscience of its servants can be used on one who puts his trust in you, or else on one who has no trust invested.
Okay, so God hates fraud because you can defraud other people whether they trust you or not. And what?
What line was that?
Yeah, what line was that?
It's 52.
It's on page 170.
Yeah, and then flip back to 169. James, would you read us the top part, 22 to 27?
The slight of none alone will be enough. I'll tell you how and why they are imprisoned. All malice has injustice at its end, an end achieved by violence or by fraud, while both are sins and that earn the hate of heaven. Since fraud belongs exclusively to man, God hates it more, and therefore far below the fraudulent are placed in stubbornness.
So, he says that there are two ways that malice works to achieve injustice. So, what is malice?
Hatred.
It's hating people. Or mistreating. But it's definitely a feeling. It's a feeling more than an action. Alright, so its goal is injustice, to treat people unfairly, or to make the playing field not even, or to dislevel things. And he says that malice takes place through two vehicles. One is violence, and the other is fraud. And you can be fraudulent against either people who trust you, or you can be fraudulent against people who don't, so like strangers. But either way, you're abusing someone else in order to get this injustice because your attitude towards people is negative. You're willing to use them for your own benefit. Now, violence he divides into three categories, guys. As we can do this canto, what are the three categories of violence?
There's the bestiality.
Right, there's violence against, and violence against.
What?
Lines 36, 7, 8, 9, 40.
Oh, against God, against nature, and against people.
Right. You can be violent against others. You can be violent against yourself. And you can be violent against the deity. And now, how can you be violent against God? You can't pick up your sword and fight him. Yeah, heartfelt disbelief in cursing him, or by despising nature and God's bounty. Let's call it a day. Despising his bounty. How can you be violent against yourself?
Asceticism.
Okay. And?
Suicide.
Suicide.
People who gamble.
Yeah, that's what's interesting, is that people who gamble. What do you guys think about that? How do you explain gambling as being violent against self?
Becomes an addiction to you.
Okay, true. What else? interesting, the idea that gambling is robbing yourself, is hurting yourself, destroying yourself. All right, other questions for these guys? What else do you want to know? Understand? A lot of exposition through here. Anything else you guys want to point out? Why is it Sodom and Gomorrah? Why is it Sodom and Cahors? Or Cahors? Sword drill. Everybody check your notes. See if you find the answer to my question. Why is it Sodom and Cahors? What's Cahors? I don't know how to say the name of the city. We would expect Sodom and Gomorrah.
Sodom is the biblical city that got destroyed by God. Cahors is the city that was known as a thriving seed of usury.
Usury is what again? Everybody?
The interest.
Yeah, lending money and interest. Yep. So it was so notorious as Cahors for the sin that Corsino came to be synonymous with usurer in medieval times. So sodomites and usurers are going to both end up being at the abusing themselves in nature